What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Review for Chainsaw Man. This is episode 3, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
So we pick up immediately after the last episode, after Power, of course, completely destroys the sea cucumber devil from at the end of the last episode. And, of course, both she and Denji get chastised by Makima for doing so, and warns them that they'll get fired if they do something like this again, because they were not authorized to go after like a devil that apparently that's been I guess apprehended by random citizens or something. I'm not sure how that worked.
It was because they interfered with a civilian devil hunter, and it was, I guess, the target of a civilian devil hunter.
Yeah,
and not public
so
safety.
of course Power of course blames Denji for having to kill the sea cucumber devil in the first place. But of course, they get into an argument before Makima decides to calm them both down and warn them, and of course warn them if anything were to happen, if this were to happen again, and they'd be terminated immediately. So the entire episode was just mostly focused on both Denji and Power. I guess you could say establishing their partnership, mostly with
pretty much,
with Power talking about how she likes cats, and there's this pet cat that she used to own named Meowie, and of course she tells Denji that her pet cat Meowie got captured by a devil, and she promises to have Denji, touch her breasts if he were to help her, save Meowie, which leads to Denji, going completely 180, saying like, "Oh, how dare the devil? We need to save the cat." so yeah, and
yeah, like this, like they were kind of having a conversation, like because she was asking Denji if he liked cats, I think, and he said like he likes dogs because we of course because of Pashida, and he says like something about like how his dog is like part of his heart or something, but and of course like Power thinks he means that metaphorically and not literally, but yeah, there are there's that, and then of course there's other parts of the episode where they're just kind of talking, or just we kind of get the sense as to like what their relationship is like at the moment, where they just have like either they kind of just have this awkward silence between them when they go on like they take a bus to go to where I guess to find Meowie and rescue the cat.
So eventually they go to the outskirts of town, and then all of a sudden Power is just knocks out Denji out cold. Well, actually, just I guess scrapes him in the head. I don't know what she did.
Well, it's because like Denji was he starts to question like what's going on, because he thought it was strange that they were getting so close to the house, and he was wondering if the Bat Devil was holding the cat hostage or something. It seemed like he started to figure out what was going on, and of course, like right when he was about to, Power hits him over the head. Like he almost like is able to, I guess, defend against it, but is just a little bit too late. And of course, she hits him over the head and drags him into the house. And we find out that it was kind of a trap, because that of course Power had made a deal with the Bat Devil to give the Bat Devil like human blood.
Yeah,
I guess in exchange
but of course
for
what they don't know is that Denji's half devil now, and as soon as the Bat Devil consumes his blood, he kind of like it leaves him like a disgusting aftertaste for him, because he's a half devil. Of course, he doesn't really know that at the time. So the Bat Devil does eventually show that he still has the cat in his possession, but because Power gave him disgusting blood, that he ends up eating the cat anyway, and this leads to Power just getting distraught and flashing back to the time when I guess when she first met meets the cat, and then she ends up taking care of it by feeding it, and well, at the same time, she kills cows
She
as well.
she
Yeah.
was originally planning to eat the cat
Mhm.
because she wanted to fatten up the cat. But she started to grow, I
Yeah.
guess, some affection towards the cat. And they also show when she first
Yeah,
met
and
with the Bat
eventually,
Devil.
like, she goes back to the conversation she had with Denji about, with him losing Pochita, and him being a part of himself now. And she tells Denji that she finally understands what he meant. And then of course she gets grabbed and it gets devoured by the Bat Devil soon after that. And so this leads to of course this leads to an action sequence between Denji fighting against the Bat Devil. But of course, he grabs onto the Bat Devil, who's flying towards the city looking for more victims, until Denji finally decides to transform into this Chainsaw Man again.
Yeah, it seemed like we got some instances, at least, of I suppose like some hand-drawn animation with Chainsaw Man, but of course it mostly was CG again. But I thought that this was probably the best looking at episode so far, at least in terms of the art and animation as well. The fight scene, of course people are going to complain about the CG. I thought it did look a little bit better in this episode, but I thought the fight scene overall was really good. Just there was a lot of fluidity, a lot of just stuff happening in terms of just the destruction around them, and it looked really impressive. And I was just really impressed with just the the other two episodes have as well, but I thought this one just for some reason looked, was just kind of stood out to me, out of the other two. But yeah, the fight scene between him and the Bat Devil was really impressive.
Yeah,
it was. I don't know how you felt about it.
It was definitely an improvement over the first episode. It looked more like they implemented more hand-drawn animation combined with the CGI, but the CGI doesn't look as noticeable as it did with the first episode.
Yeah, I definitely thought they did a better job with it. But yeah, of course, the Bat Devil is basically just throwing stuff around at Chainsaw Man, Denji, and at one point he said something like his Denji was going to throw a car at him, and he said something like, "You wouldn't sacrifice a human, you wouldn't kill a human," and Denji's like, "What do you think I care about that?"
Well, I mean,
the
person driving the car eventually just jumps out of the car anyway.
Well, yeah, he gets out before he can do it, but it kind of lets you know, I guess the sort of character that Denji is. Of course, when he right when the fight starts, pretty much he says I'm so pretty much, I forget exactly what he says, but more or less he's like, I'm just annoyed I haven't been able to cop a feel yet. And that's pretty much his only motivation right now. So that's all he's really concerned about. But yeah, of course he does end up beating the Bat Devil, and it's pretty gruesome. I mean, as we know, there's no censorship in this anime, but there's just it's pretty brutal. Just how he finishes off the Bat Devil. You just see its guts everywhere, and he just kind of saws it in half, basically.
And that's pretty much the end of the episode. I'm pretty sure Power's fine because obviously he's probably gonna end up cutting it.
Well, as we know, Power's a fiend, so she probably will. She probably would survive that.
And then of course we do get our third ending sequence, which is it reminded me a lot of of a Death Note's heavy metal theme from back in the second season. Yeah,
it's the same.
Yeah,
it's
plus it had an interesting transition between heavy metal to almost a softer tones by the second half of the song. But I thought it was one of the better songs that they released.
I like the imagery of it too, how it's just everything looks so distorted, and then of course when you get to Makima, that's kind of what the song changes, and it has it's not as heavy. and then it also kind of changes again because it's I think that one of the female vocalists, I suppose, was like starts singing. But I like the song. It was just so chaotic. Like it's just the way the vocals are, and also just the imagery of it. I'm not sure which I think that's probably my favorite ending so far. I like the second ending was really good too. But this one is like, yeah, this one's probably the best. A part of me kind of wishes the opening was more like that. But I don't mind the opening we got, but I'm kind of like, I feel like it would definitely fit the series much more. But I feel like this one really like was kind of perfect for it.
It was definitely the best one out of the first three in my opinion. Of course, we've yet to hear all the other songs that they will release in the next how many episodes are left? Like 9 more episodes or 8. Yeah.
That's another thing that's interesting about this series is we're getting different endings every episode. So like each one is going to kind of give a different vibe. And it's probably going to be like, I guess, specific to whatever happens. It pretty much matches the
tone of the episode too.
Yeah. Although we do get, right. I completely forgot. Yeah, Aki does show up briefly in the episode too, because there is a conversation between him and Makima where they're basically discussing, like, I guess why she thinks Denji is a good person for the job, I suppose. We see that Aki is still not really that fond of Denji, of course. But I think that's another relationship that we'll probably see develop throughout the series as well. And Aki will probably grow to not dislike Denji, basically. But I also want to point out, like, this, like, watching this series, it's kind of funny how it's kind of the opposite of how, like, Bleach is right now, and that how Bleach is so fast paced, and it feels like, and I kind of know, like, because the manga is still fresh in my mind, like I know how much they're adapting with Chainsaw Man, and it's even, it feels much slower in comparison, because like I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like at the end of this episode we're pretty much at the end of volume 1, or no, actually we're a little bit past that, because volume 1 was like right before he's gonna fight.
I think the end of this fight was pretty much ends literally at the start, a little bit into the second volume. So we're there.
Yeah, but it's not like going like really fast. It feels like they're just adapting, like, I want to say like a few chapters an episode, basically. I did remember that there was one specific scene that was cut from episode 2. But I like I said, the one you mentioned, I mean, I do expect there to be little things like that aren't going to make it, but I'm not really that concerned about stuff like that being cut. It's not really that important. But yeah, I thought, like, in my opinion, this was the best episode, just because it felt like the fight scenes in this, like, they were really good in the first episode too, despite the CG. But here, like you said, I feel like the CG blended better with the 2D animation, and I also did notice a few more instances, I guess, of the hand-drawn animation with Chainsaw Man. But the fight scenes overall were just, it was much better. It was much more intense. And also I just like that they of course go more into Power's character, and I think they do a really good job of just letting you know the type of character she is. Of course, we got introduced to her at the end of the last episode, but this one just kind of tells you who she is. And I liked how they kind of parallel her backstory with Denji's in terms of his relationship with Vegeta and her relationship with Meowie.
And of course, I mean, eventually we will get to see more backstory scenes with Power. And eventually we will get to see the remaining characters that have yet to be introduced in the anime.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. But I don't really have too much else to say about the episode. I don't know. It was pretty decent.
I like the action sequences. I thought it was the animation quality was a much better improvement over the action sequence from the first episode. And I did like that Power gets more attention in this episode than how she was like quickly introduced at the end of the last one.
Yeah, I mean, of course, as a manga reader, I already knew that they were going to go, of course, much more into Power's character in this episode. But seeing it animated, I thought it really kind of gives more depth to like her details of her character. But yeah, like I said, it's my favorite so far. I'm pretty sure there's like after some other episodes have come out that opinion is going to change. But so far from what I've seen, this is probably the best. But yeah, that all being said, guys, until next time, we will see you all later.